Hi guys, we are back with more of The Terrible Two by Jory, John, and Mac Barnett, illustrated by Kevin Cornell. We were on chapter 24. Chapter 24. Miles Murphy was losing sleep. He was eating less. Lately, people have been saying his face looked a little gray. Your face looks a little gray, Holly said when she saw Miles in the hall. Are you all right? Miles Murphy was not all right. For the past 2 months, he'd been anticipating an attack that had never come. He hadn't even been able to enjoy his winter break because he was worried Niles was going to prank him at the mall, or at his house, or when he was hiding from Josh Barkin behind a mailbox. Now that school was back in session, nowhere was safe. They'd been back for 3 weeks, and Niles still hadn't pranked him, probably because of Miles's tireless vigilance. It was a kind of victory, but it felt awful. Holly walked down the hallway with no hesitation. She rounded corners, waved to kids, smiled at teachers, drummed on lockers as she passed them. She had energy, charisma. Miles, meanwhile, kept a step or two behind Holly. He had to. Miles was at DEFCON 5, or DEFCON 1. Whichever DEFCON was the most alert, most serious DEFCON. So DEFCON, I had to look this up. It means defense, let me look again. Defense readiness conditions. So like if there's a war that's about to happen or something, then you have to be at DEFCON 1, which means like there's going to be a huge war. We have to be ready. We have to respond right now. DEFCON 5 is like the lowest level. So it's like just normal readiness. Like there's not really a big threat right now. So it was DEFCON 1, a fact Miss Shandy had mentioned in social studies last Tuesday. But lately, Miles hadn't been paying much attention in class, and all-consuming, single-minded readiness being the hallmark of DEFCON 1. Holly pointed to a sign on the wall. Principal Barkin says, election time! The rest of the wall was taken up by a campaign poster, a huge black and white photograph of Josh Barkin and his father. The poster was festooned with crepe paper bunting. Above Josh's head was his slogan, Josh Barkin, your current class president, your future class president, your eventual principal. Cast your vote for me, 4-1, which means April 1st. I'll bet you he stole those streamers from the art room, Holly said, and he gets the good real estate next to the drinking fountain. I had to put mine by the teacher bathroom. She pointed to another poster down the hall. She shrugged. But hey, someone's got to fight the power. They continued down the hall. Good morning, Alice, Holly said to Alice. Hey, Scotty, Holly said to a kid presumably named Scotty, and her sign said, a vote for Holly Rash is a vote for Holly Rash. They rounded a corner, and there he was. Hi, Niles. Hi, Holly. Hi, Miles. Miles should have looked away. But Niles caught Miles's eye and smiled. Miles's stomach, already sensitive after weeks of a mostly fruit snack diet, gurgled and churned. Niles' smile was basically an ordinary smile. Innocent and sunny, typical of Niles' school helper mask. But there was something else, something at the corner of Niles' eyes. Confidence, mischief, danger. For weeks, this smile had been inducing fear and anger and nausea in Miles. In the middle of class, Niles would turn to Miles and smile. After school, as Miles crossed the parking lot, Niles would wave and smile. At night, Niles' smiling face appeared in Miles' dreams, except in his dreams, Niles' head was covered in coarse blonde bristles, and he had little red eyes that flashed, and also the dreams took place in the dairy aisle of the supermarket. It was weird. Niles smiled everywhere. Niles knew Miles hated the smile, and Miles knew Niles knew, and Niles knew Miles knew Niles knew, and somehow all this knowledge was folded back into the smile. The smile was an omen, a portent. The smile meant a prank was coming. Sometimes late at night, Miles wondered if the smile was the prank. But in the mornings, when the sun came through his window, Miles knew he'd never get off that easy. Chapter 25. Holly and Miles stopped in front of Miles' new locker, number 336. Stuart was entering the combination to the locker below, which was Miles' old locker, 337. Hey, said Holly, when did you get an upper locker? We traded, Stuart announced. Why would anyone trade? Behind Stuart's crouching back, Miles cut off Holly by sawing silently at his neck. I know, Stuart said. Why would anyone want an upper locker? Holly arched an eyebrow. Everyone wanted an upper locker. Miles wanted an upper locker. And in pretty much the only highlight of the last month or so, he tricked Stuart into giving his up. It was your standard Tom Sawyering. Before lunch one Tuesday, Miles had kneeled in front of his locker and pulled a coin from his pocket. "Hey, look at that," Miles said, "a quarter." "What?" said Stuart. "You just found a quarter?" "Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's a bicentennial quarter." Miles held up the quarter and showed Stuart the drumming man on the back. "Wow! Aren't those quarters worth even more than normal quarters?" "Yeah," said Miles. "About $2, I think." Stuart just looked at the quarter and gasped. "I find stuff like this on the floor all the time," Miles said. "People are always dropping stuff. It's one reason I love having a lower locker." "What do you mean, one reason?" "Well, you don't have to lift your books into your locker this way. That can lead to injury, you know. Sort of an achy tingling running through your forearm." "My forearm has been aching," Stuart said. "Is that bad?" Could be tendinitis or carpal tunnel." "Aw, man!" "You probably don't have carpal tunnel." Miles pocketed the quarter. "But you never know." Stuart was looking a little nervous. Time to clinch it. "Plus, a lower locker keeps your lunch fresh and cool, you know, because heat rises." "I wish I had a lower locker." Whoa, Stuart, I'm not going to trade with you." "Please trade with me." "No way. It's not an even trade. I love my lower locker. Please." "Maybe," Miles started. "No." "What?" "I was going to say, maybe if you gave me your fruit snacks for a week, but what about a month?" And that's how Miles got an upper locker. He looked forward to telling the story to Holly as soon as Stuart left. But Stuart was having trouble with the combination. Miles," said Stuart, "what's the last number again?" 13. "Oh, yeah!" Stuart turned the dial to the left. The metal door swung open. "I don't remember any of this," Stuart said. There was a springing sound and a muffled oof from Stuart as a pie flew from his locker and into his face. This is what Stuart saw in his locker. Locker pult. Assembly time, 32 man-hours. Designed for locker number 337. Frame. Arm will fling forward. Note, stack bricks on back of frame to stabilize. Trigger mechanism. Modify mousetrap for trigger mechanism. Torsion apparatus, pult arm, twisted rope, frame arm. Problem, not enough room for recline. Ring the locker slot. Ring through locker slot. Wow, looks like a pretty interesting plan. What? Stuart pulled the aluminum pie tin from his face and began to wipe off whipped cream. "That was crazy!" Miles bent down and peered into Stuart's locker. The catapult was impressive. Brilliant, even. The whole prank combined classic styling, a good old pie in the face, with an innovative pie delivery system. Only Niles Sparks could have dreamed up the contraption in locker number 337. But there was one problem. Niles Sparks had gotten the wrong locker. "Ha, ha," Miles said. He actually said, "Ha, ha." He didn't know we switched. Niles hadn't known about the locker switch. He'd been too busy planning and building and smiling, and he'd missed a crucial detail. Here was a little pranking rule for Niles Sparks. Don't miss crucial details. After a long streak of thwarted pranks, Miles was now the thwarter. He'd thwarted Niles just as Niles had thwarted him. Well, technically, he'd benefited from an oversight. It wasn't exactly an active thwarting. But a thwart was a thwart. Stuart picked off a maraschino cherry stuck above his left eyebrow and popped it in his mouth. "Yum! It's like a Shirley Temple!" Miles felt a pang of sympathy for Stuart. Collateral damage of the prank war. But then again, he seemed to be enjoying that cherry. The commotion attracted a crowd, and the crowd attracted Barkin. "Make way for me! Make way for me!" Barkin said. He plowed through the mob and surveyed the situation. Stuart creamed. Miles, nearby, himself on the case. "Stuart," said Barkin, "you're covered in whipped cream." "I know," said Stuart. "There's a pie-flinging machine in my locker." "Is there really?" asked Barkin, getting purplish. He examined the inside of Stuart's locker. My, Barry," the principal muttered to himself. "A catapult." He pulled a pair of latex gloves from his principal pack. "Let's look for clues, shall we?" Miles already knew what Barkin would find. Nothing. Niles may have made one mistake, but he wasn't going to make two. Nothing, Barkin said after some careful poking and prodding. But the investigation will continue. Miles pretended Barkin wasn't staring right at him. Barkin continued to stare right at him. The bell rang. Bing! Principal Barkin snapped to purple-faced attention. Get to class, everybody! That bell means you're late! Don't think I will hesitate to give 62 students attention at once. I would welcome the chance to hold that world record. As the crowd dispersed, Miles glimpsed Niles looking on. Niles looked lost, dismayed, thwarted, and for the first time in 3 weeks, Miles was the one smiling. He grinned at Niles and went to his locker, his upper locker, to grab his math book. Maybe he would have pizza for lunch today. Yes, that sounded pretty good. He swung open his locker door. Look at all those cherries, Stewart said. It's like your locker is a Shirley Temple factory. Miles hoped Barkin wasn't still staring right at him. He was. I didn't do it, said Miles. Strike 3, said Principal Barkin. OMG. Do you see what just happened? Let me reread the last part. So Miles, he swung open his locker door. Look at all those cherries, Stewart said. It's like your locker is a Shirley Temple factory. Miles hoped Barkin wasn't still staring right at him. He was. I didn't do it, said Miles. Strike 3, said Principal Barkin.